Alright, so now we're going to get through the rest of the review here. So for question 24, it says which line is parallel to the line 5x minus 2y equals 18. So remember, for a line to be parallel to another line, they have to have the same slope. So essentially what we're really looking for here is which answer choice has the same slope as the line they gave us. Now, also keep in mind that the example they gave us is in standard form, right? And we need it in slope-intercept form for us to see what the actual slope is, right? So remember, when we do that, that's where we're going to move this 5x to the other side. So essentially we subtract 5x from both sides. Okay, so that cancels that out. So I'm going to rewrite this over here on the left so I can have a little bit of space. So minus 2y, or negative 2y, equals negative 5x plus 18. Okay, then, right, we still need y by itself, so we divide everything by negative 2. And this is a very good example of a question where you have to make sure you divide by negative 2 and not just 2, because if you divide by 2, you'll get, the right fraction with the wrong sign, right? So always make sure you divide by the exact number, positive, negative, whatever it is in front of y. So we get y equals, now here, we're going to get 5 over 2, but these negatives cancel out, so it makes it now positive 5 over 2x. And then here we have 18 over negative 2, which makes this negative 9. So we get 5 over 2x minus 9. So we're looking for one that has a positive 5 over 2, which would be answer choice C. Okay, it's not D because that has a negative, right? We need positive 5 over 2x. Alright, so number 25, which line is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3x plus 2? So now here the key is that we're doing perpendicular, right? So in this case, since it's perpendicular, that means it's a negative reciprocal, right? So that means that when we look at the example they gave us, the slope for the line they gave us is negative 3, right? Since it's going to be a negative reciprocal, that means we're going to change this, right? So negative reciprocal, so opposite sign. So now it's going to be positive, right? And then you flip it because it's a reciprocal. Remember, this 3 as a fraction would be 3 over 1. So when we flip it, it's going to make this essentially just positive 1/3. So that would be the negative reciprocal of this. So this is the slope we're looking for. But notice all of my answer choices are in standard form again, right? So I'd need to find which one has a slope of 1/3, okay? So again, you would have to sit here and convert each one of these into slope-intercept form, okay? So again, if you remember the shortcut that I also showed you guys, you can just take the number in front of x and put it over the number in front of y. So in this case for a, that would be 3 over 1, right? Which is just 3, really. And then change the sign. Negative 3 over 1. Not the same, not my answer. For b, it would be 1 over 3, right? But again, remember, you have to put the a, right? In this case, the number in front of x. So I'm putting 1 over 3, but then I change the sign, which makes this one actually become negative 1/3. Because if you think about it, you're going to have to move this x to the other side, which makes it negative x, and then you divide it by 3. So that's where you get negative 1/3. Okay, and since I have negative 1/3 and I need positive 1/3, not my answer. Okay, C would be 3 over negative 1. All right, 3 over negative 1, which would just change that sign to positive 3, which is not what I want. So our last hope here is negative 1, or sorry, not negative 1, 1 over negative 3, and then you change the sign. Okay, so I changed the sign to now it's positive 1 over 3. So that makes this my answer, so D was the answer for that one. Now 26, write an equation that's parallel to y equals negative 4x plus 5 and passes through this point. So remember, parallel means same slope. So essentially they're telling me my slope is going to be negative 4. Okay, and now I just have to find a line that passes through that point. So this is where you use point slope formula. Okay, so that's y, so we got y minus, okay, and then we're going to do our y value, which is -1. So since it's y minus -1, we're going to change this to +1 equals. And now we have m, which in this case is the slope, which we said has to be the same. So it's -4. So -4 times x minus, and our x1 is this -2. So minus negative makes this +2. Okay. Then we would distribute -4 to each of these. Okay, so -4x. And then -4 times 2 is -8. And then over here we get y plus 1. Okay. Then our last step is to get rid of that +1 by subtracting 1 on each side. So -1, -1. So those cancel out. We get y equals -4x. And then -8 minus 1 is -9. So that would be your equation. Y equals -4x minus 9. On 27, we're writing one that's perpendicular, right? So remember, negative reciprocal now. And they also give it to us in standard form, right? So we need to figure out what's the slope of that one. So again, normally I would change this 3x minus 5y equals 5. I need to change it to slope-intercept form, right? So if I was going to do that, right, let's say this time I'm going to work it out instead of taking my little shortcut. So that way I can show you both ways. So 3x minus 5y equals 5. All right, so first step would be subtracting 3x on both sides. Okay, so those cancel out. So now I got -5y equals -3x plus 5. And then my last step is to just get rid of that -5. So I'm going to divide by -5 on everything. Divide by -5. Okay, so those cancel out, so I get y equals, these negatives cancel out, making this 3/5, right? Positive 3/5 x minus 1. So that's what I needed though. My slope is 3/5. Now remember, the question says perpendicular. So 3/5 is not the slope that I want to use. I need to do that negative reciprocal of 3/5. So I need to take that 3/5 and then I need to change it, right? So negative reciprocal, aka opposite sign, flip it. So I change my sign from positive to negative, and then I flip it from 3/5 to 5/3. Make sure I know that this is a negative sign right here. Okay. So that's the slope I need to use. So now I just plug that in my formula. So y minus my y value, which in this case is -14. So I'm going to put plus 14 equals, we just said my slope needs to be -5/3 times x minus, and then my x value is 9. Okay. Now my next step is to distribute this -5/3. So I'm going to distribute that here and here. I'm going to bring down y plus 14 because, again, I don't want to mess with two sides at once. So I get -5/3 x. And then -9 times -5/3. So it's going to become positive. Then 9 times 5 is 45. 45 divided by 3 is 15. Okay. Now my last step is just going ahead and getting rid of this plus 14 by subtracting 14 on both sides. Okay, that cancels out. I get y equals -5/3x. And then 15 minus 14 is just 1, so plus 1. Okay. Now let's scroll down here. So now we got our word problems. Okay, so first one says Marianne is printing pictures from her recent trip to Europe. An online print shop charges 15 cents per 4x6 inch print, along with a flat rate shipping charge of $3. If Marianne has 35 to spend, how many prints can she order? So remember, this is going to be where you have to figure out what kind of question it's asking. So it's telling you a rate of change, 15 cents per print, and it's telling you a starting point, right? So rate of change, starting point, that's slope-intercept form. So our slope, oops, sorry, I gotta put my pen on here. So my slope is gonna be the 15 cents, right? 0.15. And then my starting point, B, is going to be the $3 that you pay for shipping. Okay, because it's flat rate. So when I write this as an equation, y equals mx plus b. Y equals 0.15x plus b, which in this case is $3. Ooh, sorry, that just looks bad. 0, 0. Okay, and again, sorry, I know this doesn't write the most beautiful. Okay, now the question says if Marianne has $35 to spend, how many prints can she order? Now, this is where you have to be mindful of what you're swapping out. You're not plugging in 35 for X. Remember, X represents how many prints you're doing. Y is the total cost, and now they're telling you your total cost is kind of limited to 35. So now we're going to plug in 35 for Y. So now it's going to say 35 equals 0.15x plus $3. Okay, and so now we just need to solve for x. Okay, so first step, I'm going to get rid of this plus $3. I'm going to do minus 3. And honestly, I'm probably going to just get rid of the 0.00 because it's really not necessary. It's just adding extra work for me. So I'm going to just do 3. So those cancel out. So now here I've got just 0.15x. And then here we've got 32. Okay, then my last step is going to be actually taking that 0.15 and then dividing that on both sides. So we're going to do divided by 0.15 and divided by 0.15. Okay, so then we just have to do 32 divided by 0.15, which is $213.33. Or sorry, 213.33, right? Which means essentially you can do 213 prints, right? Because you're not going to do 0.3 of a print. So 213. That's going to be your answer. Okay. All right, so now we look at number 31. At Smith Mountain Lake Boat Rentals, it costs $25 per hour to rent a pontoon boat plus a one-time charge for cleaning. The Bingle family rented a boat from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and paid $226.50. If the Jones family rented a boat from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., how much did they pay? So now in this one, they give you a rate again, right? A rate of change of $25 per hour. But they don't give you a starting point. They give you a sample point, right? Because they tell you that the Bingle family rented it from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., paid $226.50, and now they want to know, how much the Jones family would pay. So for this example, which I'll probably end up having to do this last 3 questions in a separate video because the word problems take a little longer. But for this question, this is where you're going to end up using your point slope formula, right? So that y minus y1 equals x minus x1. Or sorry, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so I'm going to do that in a separate video so that way we don't get cut off in the middle of the question.